Hello and welcome to another episode of Double J's List. If you get a chance, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I would really appreciate it. Today I'm going to give you a 2-year update on my 2023 Jeep Wrangler 4xe Willys. The reason I say Willys is because this is a Willys trim, not Willys. Willys is the correct pronunciation I've heard from a number of different sources, which is basically a throwback to the name Willys Overland, which was the company that originally made Jeeps for World War II. And then they eventually made the CJ2 and up all the way up into what the Jeep has evolved into now. So that's why I keep saying Willys instead of Willys. I've had people make comments in the past saying that you're saying Willys wrong. Why are you saying it like that? That's why. Anyway. So, a few things to report on. The last video that I did on the Jeep, I had some issues with the charging system and there was a recall for battery fires. Since I had figured out the problems I was having with charging was my Chargify EV charging station. It normally has a little light that's either blue or green, depending on whether or not it's charging or it's just in its ready state, and it had a red light on instead. So when I would plug it in, it would error out because there was something wrong with that charging station. I don't know what. Unfortunately, the company seems to have gone out of business and I'm unable to diagnose it. But what had happened is I attempted to charge the Jeep a number of times using that erroring charging station, which caused some sort of an error in the Jeep, and it wouldn't allow me to charge it after a while, saying, hey, you keep trying to charge it with this faulty charger, and it basically bricked it. Because then I went and tried other charging stations, they wouldn't work. I then took it to the dealer and they plugged it into their charger and it wouldn't work. They said, yeah, there's a problem, but by that time the recall had come out for the battery fires, and they said, well, you can't charge it anyway, you might as well just wait until we flash the software and we figure out exactly what's wrong with it then. So I waited, and then before I brought it in for its recall, once the recall actually happened and they had a solution, I had read online that you want to get the battery up to about 75% state so they can run their diagnostics on it. So I plugged it in again to a different charger that I have at home, and it worked. So what had happened, I think, was I had driven it enough times to allow itself to reset its error that was in the charging station. So that is now, it was fixed at that point. It just said, hey, you're not trying to plug in a bad charger anymore. So that seemed to fix itself. I brought it in for the recall. They ran the diagnostics. My battery was fine. It doesn't need to be replaced. And they put its new software on, and it has been charging and working fine since. So no problems whatsoever. Now that that is fixed, I've done another video on how to replace the tires. The Willys has these awful mud terrain tires that it came with. Actually, I've got one on the back on the spare here. I go into depth about this, but these knobby tires are terrible in snow. They're noisy, they're uncomfortable, they're bad on dry weather. They're just really not good at anything except for driving in mud. They're sitting on a tire rack in my garage, ready to go on when I turn the lease back in. I replaced it with these they're Bridgestone Dueler ATs, and the submodel of this is the RHS. There it is right there. There's a lot of different Dueler ATs out there, and that one is called the RHS. After some research, I got these on tire rack on clearance, and they were pretty inexpensive. These came stock on some Broncos, the big Broncos, which makes sense because it's a competitor for this vehicle, so it makes sense that a similar tire will be available. And they're way better in snow. They're much quieter on the road. I actually get more range out of the battery. Strongly recommend getting rid of those mud terrains unless you're driving in a ton of mud, which I think probably more than 95% buyers of the Willys trim are not driving around in mud all the time. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that that tire's on here, but that's what they gave me at the time. And from what I understand, when they did the update for, it was the 24s, it must have been the 24s, they started putting BF Goodrich, and they did the Rubicon size, the all-terrain tires. Awesome tire, would have loved that from the start. But then now they seem to have put a Falcon mud tire on them, which stinks, and now they're back to another mud tire, which is not ideal, but they look cool, and I think that's what they're trying to go for. They're trying to look for like a World War II Army Jeep kind of look with a really knobby tire, and I guess the mud terrain tire gives that look, but it makes no sense in any other aspect of the vehicle, so don't recommend that. Another issue that I am having currently right now is corrosion on the doors and hood. These Jeep JLs are notorious for this problem. They have aluminum hoods and doors. And I noticed the other day when I was outside looking, I said, hey, what is this on the hood? I'm going to zoom in on this. And as you can see right there, that's a tiny little bubble. So there's a corrosion warranty, 5 years, I believe unlimited miles for these things. So I brought it in, I made an appointment at the Jeep dealer, I brought it in, and the man that did the assessment was very thorough. He actually went to the other side of the hood, felt underneath, and he felt that there was a seam that there was corrosion on. And once there's, I guess, corrosion on the seam, the whole panel needs to get replaced. He then went around to all the doors, and he found corrosion on 2 of the doors, my driver's side, or my passenger side front. If you go down here, you can see right here, you can see the corrosion. It's actually beaten through the paint, and actually that's bare aluminum that you see. So apparently that panel needs to get replaced. I checked all the other ones, and then on this back door, on the driver's side, another issue very similar, as you can see, back down to the aluminum. So that's getting 2 new doors and a hood. Apparently the process takes a few months, but we'll see what happens there. Hopefully it gets done before I turn in my lease in March. So this is July right now, so it should be done before then. Other than that, we're doing pretty good. Another small issue that is really common to pretty much all Jeep Wranglers are broken windshields. This chip that I have in the windshield right here happened, I want to say a month or 2 after I first got it. It's not in the path of the windshield wiper, and it's smaller than 4 inches. So I believe that's the criteria to get a windshield to fail inspection here in New York. So I haven't had it replaced under my insurance, because I figure it could break again just as easily, because these things are so upright that they take a ton of stones. That's why they break all the time. So I'm gonna wait till closer to the end of the lease, and I'll get it replaced under my insurance. One thing to consider if you are buying any Wrangler is make sure that you have glass coverage that's a 0 deductible on your insurance, because you probably are gonna be replacing a few windshields just because of the design. Another thing that I forgot to show in any of my other videos about this Jeep, and it's just kind of a fun thing. I guess it's a quality issue, but right here, you see this piece of, it's like black duct tape. This has been hanging here since I took delivery. This is just kind of a, I guess, I don't don't even know what it's taping, but I haven't done anything about it because I just think it's kind of funny. If you're looking at one of these Jeeps, you have to understand that the quality isn't like a Japanese or German car, that's for sure. Like the gaps between all of the plastics all over the interior are inconsistent and different in every different place, especially side to side. It just doesn't make any sense. They're just kind of quickly put together with some inexpensive plastic molds. And some of it's because it's waterproof and tough, like this is hard plastic. It's not like a nice soft pad, so when you put it up, it's kind of loud. It's not here to be a luxurious car, that's for sure, but it's very good at doing crazy stuff. Driving it around the winter when the snow is absolutely crazy deep, this cruises right through anything and everything, even with non-snow tires. These are mud and snow rated, but they are not actual winter specific tires, and it still goes through snow quite well. Another thing to consider that's really annoyed me, it doesn't have a dead pedal right here. You know where you rest your foot on most cars, there's like another extra like pedal that does nothing. There's nothing there, so you don't really have a place to rest your left foot when you're driving. Kind of annoying. Another weird thing about this Jeep that I don't like is it doesn't have an adjustment to make the bottom of the seat tilt back like this. It sits a little too upright for my taste. This knob right here adjusts lumbar. This adjusts the tilt of the back. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. This lever right here actually adjusts the height of the seat. It makes it go up and down, no adjustment of tilt. This weird strap right here is what adjusts the recline of the back seat, and then there's a lever underneath to make it slide back and forth. I would really like it just to tilt back a tiny bit. Some people add little spacers underneath the seat here on the bracket to tilt it back a little bit. I don't want to have to go to the aftermarket in order to make the thing right. It should just have an adjustment. So anyway, some things to consider with this that I really wish they had addressed a little bit better. I think that the battery is a little bit on the small side. So it only gets about 20 to 27 miles of range. For if you drive less than 20 miles a day and you're in a warmer climate, you'll probably hardly ever use the engine. In cold climates, the battery doesn't last as long because it uses that battery to draw from heat, plus it uses that battery to heat the battery itself in order to keep it in a good range where it's running efficiently. So you lose a lot of range in the winter time, and also in the winter, if it drops below a certain temperature, it just runs the engine to run the engine. It's oil refresh mode. It's super annoying. You'll know it if you have one of these. So that, in my opinion, that's one of the disadvantages of doing one of these plug-in hybrids. Yeah, you do have a great range because you've got a gas tank full of fuel, but at the same time, you lose a lot of the advantages of an EV with that noisy engine going all winter. Now that I have both in the garage, I still think I prefer a full EV over a plug-in hybrid, although I do enjoy the advantages of this. Something else to consider, like a Toyota RAV4 Prime, that's the plug-in hybrid version of that, gets about 40 miles of range. Now that makes a whole heck of a lot more sense to me. That would cover pretty much most of my driving back and forth to work. So like on an ideal day, when I drive home from work, the gas engine comes on and then I'm using gas for part of my commute, where if I had 40 miles of range, I wouldn't be using gas very much, especially in the summer. So a lot of people have had a lot of reliability issues with these, and they talk about it a lot in the groups on like Facebook and Reddit and whatever. A lot of people have had batteries fail, a lot of people have had charging systems fail, wiring issues, all sorts of things like that, where the cars are left stranded and having a lot of problems. Knock on wood, mine's been pretty good. I wouldn't, I have really nothing to complain about mine as far as reliability, and the hiccups that were caused by the charging station. The recall was kind of annoying, but it's all resolved now, and for the most part, I really like it. Do I trust it to own? Probably not. I would say that this is a great vehicle to lease, or if you buy it, make sure it's got a really hefty extended warranty, whether it be like certified or you buy a warranty with it. Other than that, it's been a pretty good Jeep. I'm trying to think of anything else to tell you about the thing. If there's anything that I would recommend, try to take one for a long test drive before you buy it. Only because it is not the most comfortable vehicle in the world. Is it a lot more comfortable and better than the Wranglers that were before it? Absolutely. It rides much better and drives much better. However, it still rides a lot rougher than most cars that are for sale today. It's got some kind of weird quirks about the interior. It drives a little strange. It has recirculating ball steering instead of rack and pinion, so the steering is a little kind of loose feeling, and it doesn't have a lot of feel. So you're gonna have to try to see if you really like that or not and get used to that. But other than that, then there's times that you absolutely love it. Taking the top off on a nice day when it's not super hot and sunny, it's a blast. So those are things to think about. If you have anything that you want to share about your 4xe or any questions you have of me, leave them in the comments below. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it.